Hi guys, Jack Rogers here and welcome to another lesson inside of Facebook Ads Mastery. And in this short video, we are going to run through the right columns and the right metrics to be analysing when you've got your ads up and running. So with that being said, let's jump straight into it. So you'll see the columns breakdown here, and what we want to do is click on that, scroll down to the bottom and go on Customize Columns. So as you can see here, there's a massive bank of already predefined ones. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove them and we can go from scratch. So first point of call, I would be looking at my amount spent, just so we've got that easy visibility across the board there. I would then be looking at my frequency. I would be looking at my reach. So frequency is essentially the number of times that our audience sees an ad. So if your frequency is 3 for one specific ad, it means that on average your audience has seen that ad 3 times. Reach is the number of new people that have seen your ad. We then have impressions. Impressions is the number of times that anybody has seen your ad. So those two are really good metrics just to sort of keep in mind, because when we look at scaling up, one problem that commonly happens is when we scale, reach doesn't improve anymore, but the number of impressions rises, which means we're not targeting new people. All that's happening is we're just delivering the ad over and over again to the same people. So I will sort of go into that scaling process further down the line, but just sort of important for you guys to know. So I would then be looking at my ROAS. I would then be looking at my results, cost per result. And then I would be looking at my outbound click-through rate. So outbound click-through rate is the number of people who click off of Meta platforms. So I would do the number of outbound clicks and the click-through rate. So you've got it as a percentage. I would then be looking at our landing page views and our cost per landing page view. Now, the difference between the two, because that's one question I commonly get asked, if outbound click-through rates is tracking the number of people who click off of Meta platforms, why do I need to track the landing page view? Well, the difference between the two is landing page views take into account load time on a website. So anytime anybody clicks off of Meta platform from your ad, it will classify as an outbound click. But if they don't wait for the website to load, aka your bounce rate, they won't be classified here, and that will essentially just help us identify that bottleneck. So if you have like a really high bounce rate, and I'm going to go through like a funnel breakdown in a moment with you after these metrics, you can identify that, well, my page speed might be quite low, or my hero section on the website might not be as optimized as what it could be. I would then be looking at my ads carts and my cost per ads cart. I would then be looking at my initiate checkout. Checkouts initiated and my cost per initiate checkout. And then what I always do as well is set up some custom columns through or custom metrics, should I say, through my hook and my hold rate. So hook rate, this is mainly only for videos, is the number of people who watch at least 3 seconds of the video. And what that essentially tells us is how engaging is the initial 3 seconds of the video. So to do that, we can go create custom metric, we can go hook rate here, we can change this to a percentage, and we can do 3-second video plays divided by our impressions, and we can create that custom metric there. So if I create that, as we can see, another hook rate one there. Now, hold rate is the number of people who watch at least 15 seconds of the video, and this tells you how engaging the rest of the content is. So what we can do here is do hold rate. Again, make sure you change that to a percentage, and we can do through plays divided by impressions, and we can create that metric there. So I will just pop you on pause and add these in again, just because whenever you create a custom metric, it does auto-populate. So as we can see, we've got them all saved down here now. And what we can do is save as a preset column. You can give this a naming convention. Remember, massive fan of naming conventions. And I would do optimizing, and then I normally just put Jack, but obviously if it's only you in the account, it doesn't matter too much. We can then press apply. And as you can see, those have been set across the top, and anytime I want to flick between that, so most of the time it's going to auto, every time you go into the account, it's going to auto preset to performance. I can just go into there, press optimizing, and it's going to auto update. Now, one thing I did want to share with you, just for some added value, and again, I'll put this resource in the link, it's something I've personally created, is this funnel breakdown here. And the importance of sort of tracking the full funnel step from outbound clicks to landing page views to add to carts, initiate checkouts to purchases. It's really easy for us to identify any bottlenecks early on in the process, right? So obviously we've got our axis here. So orange are the ones we wanted to fill in, we don't want to touch. So what we can do then is put in our level of spend, right? Let's keep it nice and easy. Let's say we have spent 1,000. We spent 1,000. Our CPM cost is, let's say it's 23, just to keep it nice and easy. That will then auto-populate the number of impressions we have. We can then put our click-through rate in here. So let's say we've got a really good click-through rate of 2.5%. And I have put some metrics across the board here of what I look for as an average. So we've got our average CTR. We want to look for at least 1%, right? So that 2.5% is really good. That will give us the number of link clicks. But what that will also do is we can track landing page views. So if you're sending people to your home page or you're sending people to the collections all page, we can put that in here. So we can say we had, let's say 800. Keep it nice and simple. And what that will do is that will tell us our bounce rate. So at the moment, our bounce rate is sitting at 26.4%. I like to see this below 20%. So what does this tell me straight away? I need to work on my website to get my bounce rate lower. How can I reduce my bounce rate? I can make my page speed faster. I can improve the hero section on the website, add better images to that hero section, add slightly better copy is what I'd be looking at. And then you've got view content. So if you've set up the pixel properly and you follow mine or Ben's video in one of the trainings above around the pixel, you'll have landing page views, which is essentially people who visit the home page or the collections all page. View content will be anybody who visits a specific product page. So we can say in here, let's say we had 500 people then go on to view a specific product from our homepage. Our homepage to product page percentage is 62.5%, which is absolutely perfect. We want to be sitting around that 50% mark. We can then see our add to cart, so we can put in here, maybe we had, we'll leave it at 10, right? Keep it as a really low metric. So that shows that people who visit the specific product page who then add to cart is only 2%, where the average and what we want to really be looking for is 10%. So for me, what I would be doing straight away off this table is I'd be going in, I'd be highlighting that red, and I'd be highlighting that red. And straight away, there's 2 areas for improvement that we can make outside of ads to improve the performance even more. We can then do initiate checkouts, so we can leave that at 4, and what that's essentially saying is 40% of people who add to cart go on to initiate checkout. We want to look for about 30% there, and then we can do the purchases to initiate checkout. So let's say out of those 4 people that initiate checkout, only 1 purchased. We're sitting at 25% there. We want to look for 50%. So that means, again, that's an area for me to work on. So this is just a really good tool to look at for when we're looking for recommendations outside of ads themselves, because from this example, obviously it's made up data, but it tells us right away that there's 3 areas for us to focus on before we start focusing or spending more money on ads. We're just removing those bottlenecks throughout the full funnel. So hope all that makes sense. As per usual, any questions, pop them in the school community, and a team member from Heath Media will get back to you as soon as they possibly can. Appreciate you all. Take care.